Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. What is the biggest problem facing the country today? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. On paper, the biggest problem is the national debt, approaching $17 trillion with no end in sight, and the failure of the pinheads in Washington to deal with that debt. If the massive borrowing continues, the U.S. economy could very well collapse. But in reality, not on paper, in reality, the biggest problem the nation has is the folks, us, our mentality. It is changing. After America and the Allies defeated the Nazis and Japanese in World War II, millions of military people returned home to start families and careers. The prevailing wisdom back then was simple. Work hard, respect your country, provide a good education for your kids. The USA was not a fair society back then, as blacks and other minorities were still denied equal rights. But most Americans viewed their country as noble, having defeated the evil in Berlin and Tokyo. Now, my parents were among the majority of Americans who felt this way. My father worked hard for modest pay, was honest, didn't want anything from the government, didn't get drunk or take drugs. He didn't take any guff from me and provided a blueprint for my success by paying for my private school education. My parents didn't coddle me, insisted that I work for my money by cutting lawns and shoveling snow, and did not care at all whether I liked it or not. The nuns demanded that I learn math, English, and history. The brothers at Chaminade High School gave me 3 hours of homework a night. Nobody mentioned welfare programs. So I worked hard, played sports, and toughed out the hard times, not depending on daddy or mommy or anyone else. I made my own way. And here I am. Today we have a far different society in America, one where the President of the United States, who sets the tone, believes his country is not a fair place, and also believes that his mandate is to change the capitalistic system so that Washington, D.C. can provide. And millions of Americans are buying in. If you don't succeed on your own, don't worry about it. Not your fault. And checks will be sent to help you out. Now, that philosophy saps personal motivation and creates a mindset of victimization. If the president believes the deck is stacked in favor of the rich folks, then what chance do I have? Add to that mindset the rise of the machines, where you and I can create our own little worlds. We can spend most of our leisure time playing mindless games or texting about trivia or writing vicious anonymous emails. We don't even have to leave the house. We can live in an entirely made-up world. But of course, we do have to leave the house. And that's when the trouble begins. And what is society doing to encourage achievement these days? Nothing at all. If you are prosperous, you are a bad person in many people's minds. Now, tomorrow, Talking Points will pinpoint how judges and politicians are imposing a completely different country on all of us from the one that my parents lived in. But for tonight, the biggest problem this country has is the way we, the people, are now behaving. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight. 3 other points of view on this. First up from Boston, former Senator from Massachusetts, a brand new Fox contributor, Scott Brown. So, Senator, what is the biggest problem facing America, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, as you referenced in the intro: debt, deficit, taxes, spending, jobs, national security, energy, which actually makes it so individuals and businesses are uncertain as to what the tax policy is and what the regulatory policy is, so they're just kind of standing idle. And then you throw in the amazing amount of debt that we have and the deficit that we have, and it adds up, as you referenced in your opening, just a tremendous amount of gridlock, a tremendous amount of indecision, and that's contributing to the negative impressions that people have about our leadership and about the people that are trying to solve those very real problems.
But we allowed it to happen. We reelected President Obama, and in your state, Massachusetts, where I was educated and worked for many years, your state is off the chart left, off the chart. For big government. They want all the things that the president says he will provide. They want income redistribution. So, yes, the problem is that our government is riding us into bankruptcy, but we, the people, are allowing it. Why?
Well, let me just reference that. Listen, Bill, as you referenced your upbringing, my mom and dad were married and divorced 4 times each. I lived in 17 houses by the time I was 18, and my mom was on welfare for a period of time, but it was there as a safety net, not as a lifelong entitlement. And there are people in Massachusetts and throughout this great country who care very deeply about which direction we're going in, and I'm one of them. And I'm going to keep battling.
Okay,
but by
but
being on
most of the folks in your state don't see it the way you see it. Even though you were elected to senator, you lost to a very far left woman last time around.
Yeah, they see it, but they also fell for the rhetoric of, you know what, when you put Republicans in charge of the Senate, they're going to take away all our rights. But on the fiscal issues, you have a tremendous amount of hardworking people in Massachusetts, obviously because we're an innovative
all right,
state.
But let me give you this stats, though. I need a why here.
Fire away.
I need a why. Massachusetts has a $540 million budget shortfall this year. Okay? Massachusetts owes $17 billion. That's never going to be able to pay back, ever. Massachusetts has 131 Democrats in the state house, 29 Republicans. Okay?
Yeah.
So Massachusetts basically, not everybody, of course we know that, but Massachusetts en masse, pardon the pun, has said we are buying into the big spending government nanny state that's being presented to us. And I want to know why.
Well, listen, you forgot to add the fact that we've had 3 speakers indicted, one's in jail, 3 senators indicted, one's in jail, a probation scandal, housing scandal, treasury scandal, a drug lab scandal, and the proposal by the governor to continue to tax people back to the Stone Age. Why? Listen, you
why
have that
are they allowing
one party.
That? Why?
You have that because it's a one-party system. You have no check and balance.
But why is it a one-party system, Senator? Why? You got you have what? 6 million people in Massachusetts.
I think 6.4 million, about 4.6 million voters.
4.6 million people, most of them in the Boston area.
Yeah,
now, these people are largely an educated group. All right, it's a largely an educated state. It's a sophisticated state with a long, glorious history. Yet the majority of people in the state of Massachusetts have said, we want this irresponsible spending. We want a one-party system. Why?
I wish I could answer that
so
for you,
do
Bill.
I.
Really,
All right.
I've been
banging my head against the wall forever. But that gets back to my point. It's a mystery of the universe, but that gets back to my point. It's our fault that Barack Obama is creating or trying to create a nanny state. We gave him another term when we had an alternative. Go ahead, last word.
It's interesting. Well, thank you. In Massachusetts, people are starting to wake up, and I think throughout the country, too, because they're looking at their paychecks and they're dwindling. The amount of money they're putting in their pockets is going away.
And they're going to dwindle more. They're going to dwindle more.
Keep the faith. Don't give up.
Oh, no. That's why we're fighting a good fight here, Senator. That's what we do. I appreciate it, and congratulations on your new job here at FNC.